when stories speak for the silenced. Every book begins with a story, but some stories refuse to stay on the page. They follow us, they unsettle us, and they ask questions long after we close the book. I'm your host Sonia, and this is The Open Page. Today I want to talk about two powerful works by Uzma Aslam Khan, the story of Noble Rot and Trespassing. These are not just narratives. They are social landscapes. Like all enduring literature, they function as mirrors, but not the uncomfortable kind. They reflect the parts of society we often notice but rarely confront. Child labor, environmental neglect, land and sea encroachment, slow violence, and quiet dispossession. Literature like this does not accuse loudly. It does not shout slogans. Instead, it shows. And what it shows stays with us, because when a story makes suffering visible, it breaks silence. The story of Noble Rot places us in a world where decay is not only environmental, but moral. The title itself is symbolic, Noble Rot. In winemaking refers to fungus that transforms decay into something valuable. But in the story, we must ask, what kind of rot is this? Is it transformation or normalization? The presence of child labor is not presented as spectacle. It's a routine. And that is precisely what makes it disturbing. Children working in unsafe spaces, children surrounded by waste, children breathing toxic air, and children handling materials adults would avoid. There are no dramatic explosions, no immediate catastrophe, instead, slow exposure, gradual harm. This is what environmental scholars call slow violence, harm that unfolds quietly over time, often invisible to those not directly affected. The environment itself becomes a silent aggressor. Polluted soil, contaminated water, industrial neglect, and perhaps most troubling, adults who have accepted this as normal. यहाँ सवाल सिर्फ गुर्बत का नहीं, यहाँ सवाल है कि हमने किन हालात को मामूल बना लिया है. The story forces us to ask, when survival replaces childhood, who is responsible? When labor replaces learning, who benefits? And when environmental damage becomes ordinary, do we still recognize it as violence? Child labor is here not merely economic exploitation, it is ecological injustice. These children are growing up in spaces that are both socially and environmentally hazardous. Their bodies become sites of exposure. And literature asks us, will we continue looking away? If Noble Rot examines polluted childhoods, Trespassing examines polluted boundaries. In the novel Trespassing, Uzma Aslam Khan turns our attention to land and sea encroachment. But this is not simply about property lines, it is about belongings. The novel shows how boundaries are crossed not just physically, but ethically. Communities that depend on land and water slowly lose access to them. What once belonged to everyone becomes controlled, fenced, and privatized. The sea, which should symbolize openness, becomes restricted. The land, which should sustain, becomes contested. Encroachment in the novel is gradual. No single dramatic takeover, just incremental exclusion. And this is how dispossession often happens in real life, not with noise, but with paperwork, with policy, with silence. ज़मीन छीनना हमेशा शोर से नहीं होता, कभी-कभी खामोशी से भी होता है. The novel asks, who owns the coast? Who owns the horizon? Who decides access to water? And these questions are not fictional. They resonate deeply in societies where rapid development, industrial expansion, and elite control reshape landscapes. Trespassing reminds us that environmental conflict is also social conflict. When people lose land, they lose memory. When they lose water, they lose livelihood. When they lose space, they lose identity. So what connects the story of Noble Rot and Trespassing? Silence. Silence around child labor, silence around environmental degradation, silence around who owns land, water, and opportunity. So these stories teach us that social crises do not begin with disaster headlines. They begin with neglect. They begin with acceptance, with normalization, with looking away. Literature interrupts that. It restores visibility. It makes the invisible visible. It gives language to those who are rarely heard. Stories speak for the silenced, but they also challenge the comfortable. They ask readers to examine complicity. Are we consumers benefiting from hidden labor? Are we citizens indifferent to environmental harm? Are we witness who remain passive? So these questions are uncomfortable, and that is precisely why they matter. So in a world flooded with statistics and breaking news alerts, why return to literature? Because statistics inform, news alarms, but stories transform. Stories cultivate empathy. They slow us down. They force us to inhabit perspectives we might otherwise ignore. When we read Uzma Aslam Khan, we are not just reading fiction. We are entering ecological, social, and ethical debates. We become witnesses, and witnessing is powerful. To witness is to refuse indifference. और अदब हमें बेहिस नहीं रहने देता. That is power. That is its agency. These stories do not offer any solutions or easy solutions. They do not end with policy recommendations, but they offer something equally important: awareness. Awareness is the first step towards responsibility, and responsibility begins with attention. The questions remain open, and perhaps so should we. Until then, the page remains open.